thank you for inviting me to this presentation, this conference. I just want to give you an update on what government is doing in the area of digital and information management. You'll have to bear with me as I go through my slides. So I just thought I'd give you some idea about what is NISTA. NISTA is the National Infrastructure and Service Transformation Authority, and it brings together the functions that were earlier done by the National Infrastructure Commission, which was looking at the long-term goals of the country, and the Infrastructure Projects Authority, which were looking at how best to deliver. It's a joint unit reporting to Treasury, but has a dotted line to the Cabinet Office, and the Chief Secretary to the Treasury is our lead minister. It's all part of this government's initiatives to speed up infrastructure. It fits together with a document we released called the 10-year infrastructure strategy, the changes we're making to the planning and infrastructure bill, and then NISTA itself. I probably don't have to remind you of the problems within the construction industry, but NISTA has been set up to try and assist with making those, not making public commitments too early. We've been accused in the past of having a lack of long-term certainty and vision, and so that's why we brought out the 10-year infrastructure strategy. You all have heard about the burdensome planning system. You probably all had bumped up to it and had problems with it. And then a lack of public sector capacity and capability, which is, again, something we're trying to alleviate. Poor productivity in the construction sector. And then where a lot of people come in, lack of supply chain capacity. And that's in lots of areas, either to be able to deliver on our large projects, but also the digital realm. And we'll talk much more about the digital realm and the high cost of delivery. I'm not going to go through all of these, but these are our 6 priorities. You can see that we're there to unlock barriers. We still identify and coordinate infrastructure needs. We're there to set standards and provide assurance on what we call the government's major project priorities. We have a new CEO, that is Becky Wood. She previously worked in the IPA as a commercial advisor, and also has run various bits of industry. So she's an industry individual, understands the industry, and she's come to be our CEO. And then, not to forget about it, but an awful lot of what we do is provided by private finance. And so in getting people to invest in our infrastructure assets is really important. I talked about the 10-year infrastructure strategy. We launched it on the 19th of June. It has 725 billion of infrastructure over the next decade. And it's comprehensive. For the first time, we're bringing both economic and social infrastructure together. And accompanying it is our National Infrastructure and Construction Pipeline, which we published on the 17th of July. As it says, it will set out new infrastructure pipeline, hopefully providing a single source of data about what we'll be doing across government on the major infrastructure market. We're bringing a digital spatial tool, which is a single digital platform, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But it will be around energy, water, wastewater, and for housing and industrial growth. And we've also got the government's National Digital Twin Programme, which will be developing standards. Spatial planning. We're quite excited by this. We're taking a spatial approach to planning. And we're leading with a team that's in NISTA of the development of the government's national spatial digital tool to strengthen local evidence base for place-based infrastructure. And by evidence, we are trying to get good quality data. And this is one of the issues that we're finding is that not all of the data in the construction industry is of good quality. And to be able to make decisions on where we might put things like housing, energy, and major infrastructure. To give an example of where we're looking at this, if we think about data centers require an awful lot of electricity, and they require an awful lot of water. And so here's a map that we've done on spatial planning, which shows you that across the Cambridge area, there are areas where we shouldn't be putting it because there is insufficient electrical capacity or insufficient water, and in some cases, both of them. So what it will allow us to do is help us to position those areas where we can take maximum use of our existing assets. The infrastructure pipeline, as I say, we released on July 2025. And it's part of the 10-year strategy. It's to give the supply chain confidence to invest in their resources, in skills and capacity, to be able to meet our future needs, so that we can deliver on what this government large plans of the £725 billion worth of investment, and be ready for that. We haven't developed it in an ivory tower in government. We have developed it in collaboration with an industry and stakeholders. We're hoping to update it 6 monthly. It does take some time to get all this data in, and to develop the granularity of the data in it more and more over time, so that based on the supply chain, consumer needs, we can give them the answers that they want. And the next iteration we're hoping for is around skills and workforce requirements. We believe that probably the bottleneck to us delivering on the government's ambitions is likely to be resources. Here's some headlines. You can see 540 billion over the next 10 years, 777 infrastructure programs and projects. You can see there the graph showing energy, health and social care, transport and water are the biggest areas, but still quite a lot in the other, education and defence. And you can see, if you go on, you can go online and do, you can actually interrogate it yourself, and you can look to see regionally where all these events are. The other thing that's going on, you should be probably aware of, is whether you call it MMC or the industrialization of construction, but looking at manufacturing techniques and being able to use manufacturing techniques to construct some of our assets. We're doing it quite a lot on the prisons program with the Ministry of Justice, whereby we've panelized sections of the prisons. So we have a prototype, and we've designed once and build many. And you might remember this from a document we put out called Transforming Infrastructure Performance, where we're looking at platform construction system. All of this is going to require more data. To be able for us to understand this, we're going to need data on the type of materials, the data on using with the Construction Products Association, what products are in there, and to be able to use things like just in time and all the things that manufacturing uses. You know, in manufacturing, data is part and parcel of the way they manufacture. So another driver for us. What do we need to do? Well, you can see there is not only do we have to look at the way we the technical aspects, and we came up with the standardize, harmonize and digitize, and obviously information management being standardized and harmonized is what we need in order for us to be able to use this across many projects. It'll require changes for us as clients. We will have to procure on the long-term rolling programs. In order for people to invest in factories, they will need to know that they've got continuation of work over a period of time. Factories work, as you know, 24/7, and they can't just close down and start up again. So It'll require us as client, especially as government, to change the way we work. And then obviously digital transformation. And this is where IMI come into it, which is, if we want to increase the adoption of MMC, we need to get better at digital. Golden thread, for those of you who are involved with building safety, you'll see that there is a thing called the golden thread. The building safety regulator we have for high risk buildings at the moment, there is a out of the Grenfell inquiry, a requirement for a single building regulator, which will not just do the high-rise buildings, but will go across the industry. But the golden thread says we have the right people with the right information to ensure our buildings are safe and risks are managed throughout the building cycle. All of this information will be held digitally and will ensure that the original design intent and any subsequent changes are captured and preserved. And that's quite important because, as you know, quite often in the industry, we do make changes and they're not necessarily captured in the way we would like them to be. But the new gated system, which, as we say, Gateway 2 at the moment, which is the building safety regulator, is rejecting, because they're not of the required quality, some of the applications coming forward. And again, Gateway 3. So once construction is complete, the information in entirety will be handed over in a digital form to the accountable person. And it must be in a form that can be understood and is easy to access. Our vision of the future of a digital twin is, this is what a building site will look like, with an awful lot of data being picked up, everything from how vehicles are performing, where the cranes are, using artificial intelligence to help us plan, pre-planning using digital models. All of these going forward is digital, digital, digital. And we must have information management. As it says here, the center of this, and NIMA is part of it, all of these lead to information management. And the reason information management is so important going forward. The Information Management Initiative, as you're probably aware, and I'm sure Anna said, is a cross-industry initiative to accelerate the adoption of information management. And you can see with all the things we've got going on in government, we need to do this. And we need a common framework. As I say, our mantra is harmonize, digitize, standardize, you know, and that's what we want the industry to start doing. IMI will provide practical guidance that will complement international standards and guidance. We're not looking to start new standards where we've got them. We want to use those ones that are already available. And it will create sector-specific pathways for clients, contractors, consultants, and asset owners, because this is whole life costing. This is cradle to grave, and will help the industry mature over time. And as you know, we are quite a fragmented industry. And whilst some clients may be at the forefront of this, we need to bring everybody right the way down the supply chain along with us to be able to move into this digital world. As I say, we're supporting IMI. We ask you to do that so that we have an industry-led program which everybody is on the going in the same direction across the whole life cycle, and that includes what we're looking for is circular economy. We will start having digital passports for materials to help us with the circular economy. You know, all of this means that we'll become more productive, we'll be better for society and the environment, and will help towards net zero. And that ends my presentation.